India's Got Latent, for people who don't know, is this really dark, edgy comedy show started by Samir Raina. And this thing is a mega banger. It just came to a point where everyone starts loving something. That's when disaster is about to strike. And that's exactly what happened. They had a special episode that was members only. Ranveer, he basically makes a joke. It's a very popular joke about sex and parents and like this riddle sort of a thing. After 2 days, shit starts hitting the fan left, right, and center. Everyone is just fighting into him just to get a little bit of more attention and just to be a little bit more relevant off of him. But the irony of things is that the very same people that did this exact thing a couple of years ago are now blaming Ranveer of offending people, doing something that he shouldn't have done.
It's very hard to draw that line ki, okay, this is offensive, this is not offensive. Once you start going down that road, I think it becomes very slippery. Where do you stop?
That is the problem.
Yeah.
You can't be like that. The whole point of freedom of expression is that you should be able to say what you want to say.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Content Playbook where we talk about everything content. For all those 5 people who are thinking why we haven't released another episode, I mean, we have had like a roller coaster of a ride. I don't know why we have had it, but for some reason, we haven't been able to find a matching time where we are able to sit and record. Either he is sick, either I am sick, either the electricity is not there, or the something went bust, and we were like, that didn't happen. But we are finally doing the recording. Fingers crossed, we are releasing this soon. A lot of things went down last month. The biggest thing in everybody's mouth and everybody's Instagram feed is India's Got Latent. Some crazy things happened, and I have had like a really busy schedule, and I don't know, I am the guy living under the rock. Adil, on the other hand, has been like fully up to date and fully up to date on all the memes, all the things that have been going down, and all the subreddit channels. If I'm not wrong, I'm not sure if he's on all those subreddit channels also where they're figuring shit out. But yes, Adil, please explain to me what went.
Yeah, so it's been pretty wild, dude. It all started, I have the timeline right here in front of me. It started on the 10th, which is about a week ago, right? And basically, India's Got Latent, for people who don't know, you have really missed out if you don't know, is this really dark, edgy comedy show started by Samir Raina, right? We'll talk about the format of the show. Super interesting. It has like this panel and it has a bunch of contestants. And the whole point is that you should be like anti-talented, right? And the crux of the show was that contestant had to guess their own kind of final score, and the judges had to randomly score them. I mean, not randomly, but score them from 0 to 10, right? And if the contestant could guess what the score was, they would win like a cash prize. And that was like the whole gamified version of the show, right? And later people realized that this was like heavily inspired by, I don't know, consciously or unconsciously, but heavily inspired by this show called Kill Tony in the US that is super popular, right?
I mean, we don't officially know if they were very inspired by that show
Yeah,
specifically,
we
but
we
like they're
don't know
just
if
trying
some actually did
confusion
it.
somebody.
Yeah, but it's very similar, right?
Yeah.
Like the resemblance is uncanny. I think Kill Tony doesn't have the
I mean, it's too
um
uncanny, bro. It's very similar. If you show it to somebody who doesn't know both the shows, they'll be like, ah, same, same.
correct. Yeah, Kill Tony doesn't have like the marketing system, but it's very similar, right? So it's been happening. I think it started off in June of last year, and he's uploaded like over 10 episodes, right? And
Right.
this thing is a mega banger. I remember before the controversy, he was like averaging 15 to 20 million views an episode.
Right.
And the guests that he was bringing on were like killer comedians, people who were from like mainstream media. And this thing had gone through all facets of social media. It
Yeah.
has reached everywhere. In the middle, he also did an appearance on Kaun Banega Karodpati, right, which was
Yes.
huge, and everyone was talking about this, right? And it just came to a point where I don't know who said this quote, but like when everyone starts loving something, that's when like disaster is about to strike, and that's
Hmm.
exactly what happened. They had a special episode that was members only, that
Yeah.
was aired on 10th of February with Ranveer, Ashish Chanchalani, I think some Punjabi comedian, which I'm forgetting his name, and the Rebel Kid, right,
Okay,
Apurva.
what do you mean when you say members only episode?
So he had two types of episodes, right? I think one was like the public YouTube videos, and he had like a members only channel, right?
Right.
So it's like the paywalled YouTube version, right?
Yeah.
Which is really interesting because like before this, people have had to take their shows and put it behind a paywall. Let's say Scoop Whoop has done this, TVF
Right.
has done this. TVF has interestingly created their own app, which I don't know if it really did that well.
Right.
I think Latent has its own app. I actually don't know what happened to it.
Right.
But in general, distribution outside of YouTube for these players,
Right.
unless it's mainstream like a Voot or a Prime Video or something like that, it's very difficult. It just doesn't
Right.
work,
Right.
right? But clearly, I think his membership was like 50 rupees a month or something super cheap like that, and
Hmm.
millions of people were subscribing, right?
Right.
So, and I'm not sure if he was releasing it to the public later on, but whatever.
Right.
This thing was behind a paywall. So this
Right.
bonus episode is with Ranveer, and the whole time Ranveer is basically like he's trying to be funny, right? And he's not. Like
Right.
for
Okay.
those of you who have seen him, we know that he's not funny. Like funny is not one of the skill sets that he's known for.
I mean, yeah, he can make fun, but he's not funny.
Yeah,
I
in
mean,
the middle
he's
he has like this woo off, right? Like he just goes woo, and with the contestant, and like when you say it once or twice, it's still fine. He does it like four times. It's like woo, 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 and it gets really awkward, right? And I
right.
remember watching it up till that point,
Right.
and I was just like, dude, what the fuck are you doing, man? Like this is like stop being so pretentious.
Yeah.
So all of this happens, and 2 days. So it's up for 2 days,
Right.
and in the middle,
Right.
Ranveer supposedly had this exchange with this contestant
Right.
where he's asking them, like he basically makes a joke, right? And this is a very popular joke about, like I don't think we can talk about that joke, but it's like it's
Don't
related.
Let's not talk about that question and also get cancelled. We'll just give
It's to
a
do with like sex and parents and like this riddle sort of a thing, right? It's a
yeah.
hugely popular joke.
Yes.
But after 2 days, the whole thing just like shit starts hitting the fan left, right, and center.
Yeah.
Like this shitstorm is something that I have never seen, and we have gone through the Prakhar and Sandeep Maheshwari controversy.
Right.
We have seen the Logan Paul controversy in
AIB
India. There has
roast show.
been AIB roast, that's a big one, right? And there
Yeah.
are just like so many shitstorms that keep on coming like every couple of months. This
Yeah.
is by far the biggest I've seen. The thing that really bothers me
Right.
is like why more people are not talking about it, especially creators, which is also why we decided to do this episode. And people need to talk about it, right? So we'll get to that eventually, like freedom of speech and things like that.
Yeah.
But basically, everyone just like wants a piece of the pie, right? Actors and MLAs and MPs, everyone for like the next couple of days after 12th is like they're just tearing Ranveer apart, right? And this just adds onto that persona that he has of being disingenuous, right? Like
Yep.
he in his podcast, it's often that he's trying to be someone that he's not, and he's asking these weird questions, and
Right.
this is like keeps on adding, right?
Right.
And it gets it gets to a point where obviously he has like multiple FIRs filed against him, and
Yes.
he's getting death threats. Apparently, people are going to his mom's clinic. His mom is a doctor,
Yes.
and they're pretending to be patients but going to her and harassing her and things like that.
Yeah.
Cops reach his office, his home, and everything. Samay, I don't know, coincidentally or maybe it was planned, but he had like a US show already planned, and then he just like he went to the US. So he
Right.
got an extension
Right.
where he could appear in front of the cops or the courts, whatever, next month, right? So he's
Right.
supposed to come back in a couple of weeks. But Ranveer is like caught in the middle of all of this,
Right.
right? And the latest update to this is that today, and by the way, like ministers are getting, like the Assam chief minister filed like an FIR against him.
Yeah.
Maharashtra chief minister came out and he was like, "Hey, this is not our culture. We shouldn't be promoting this and all of it." And the latest update is that today, the Supreme Court of India
Okay.
has, like, they condemned Ranveer and his remarks
Okay.
because he basically wanted to consolidate all FIRs, right? So I mean, long story short, whenever someone files an FIR, you have to like kind of fight it
Go and
independently.
fight the that
Yeah.
FIR. Yes.
And since it's across states and everything, he just wanted to like bring it all in one place, right?
Yeah.
So basically shit has hit the fan, right? And I did this exercise of like I just went and saw what everyone was talking about it.
Hmm.
So Soch by Mohak Mangal had like a beautiful video on this. Last night, Amin Ajaz, Untriggered, they had a podcast which I thought was interesting, like some of the things that they were talking about.
Right.
But like, so just talking about the outrage itself, people were
Okay, wait, wait,
outraged
wait.
at.
Before you go any further, you talked about quite a few things. Okay, I'm also a little lost here. There were multiple FIRs being filed. So, what was the specific outrage like? Like, okay, why were they pissed? Exactly.
Because of the joke.
Yeah, like it's a bad joke, and it's not like a bad joke, but it's something that probably isn't that easily digestible. It's like a very dark joke at that. Let's say it's a very dark joke
Yeah, I mean that is still
or a
subjective,
question.
but
It's a
people basically
questionable
said that.
question, but they were more like the outrage was more towards the joke or the specific person in general. Because I did speak to like a couple of friends of mine, and they were like, they were more annoyed that Ranveer did it than the joke itself. Because, like, bro,
Of
I've
course,
seen his
right?
like a
There's
Facebook fight.
definitely. I mean, think of it this way: if I were to make that joke, no one would give a shit,
Yep.
right? Or
Yeah.
if someone else were to make that joke, no one would care,
Yep.
right? So there's two parts to it, right? One is just like the basic freedom of speech of like you should be able to say whatever you want,
Yeah.
and another is who is saying that, right?
Right.
So I think with Ranveer, the important thing to note, and initially I was very like I was upset, right? Like as a creator, like why is someone being targeted for saying something, saying anything, right? Like you should be able to say whatever the fuck you want to. But then someone brought up a very interesting point that Ranveer has basically like he has come up to a stage in the past 10 years where he is the face of the country, both internally and externally. Now that he
Right.
has started going out and shooting these podcasts with, let's say, foreign governments and entrepreneurs and all of
I
these
mean,
people.
he shot even with a novel, which was like,
Exactly, right? So he represents India, and that comes with a lot more responsibility than just being a creator, right? So, like now, he has a lot. People have a lot more at stake with him being at the helm, right?
right.
So that is an argument that I can still digest that, hey, just because you are representing all of us, there are certain things that are just like directly off the table for you, right? That's like saying the Prime Minister of India can like go and start cracking jokes and
Right.
start acting a certain way, which he can't,
Yep.
right? Because he represents an entire nation.
Yeah.
He is at a smaller level, but something similar to that. So
Yeah.
to answer your question, I think it's definitely that he is doing this, but that came a lot, like that came very later on,
Right.
right? It just started off with people hating on the fact that how could you say this joke to begin with,
Right.
right? Like this is against our culture, this is against who we are as people,
Right.
and what would your sister, mother, grandmother think, what would your girlfriend think, right? This is abusive to women, and not just this, but like because of this a lot of the show itself and the format came under question, right? Because later on in the episode they talk
Right.
to like a disabled person.
Okay. So it started from the joke and it moved into like the show for
Yeah, then it
things.
it moved into the niche itself, that
Right.
like dark comedy as a concept, like why are we doing this?
Right.
They made a joke on I think Kerala having like 100% literacy, and I
Right.
saw like a bunch of videos people saying, oh, like why is this something that is like joked about, like this is
Right.
a good thing, why are
Right.
you there were people that are offended by like the disability jokes that people had. Someone brought on that guest who was disabled on like a CNBC interview. saying,
Okay.
"Ki, oh, what had happened? Give us your take."
Right.
And people are now targeting all of the guests that have come on all of the previous episodes, right?
Yeah.
Saying that, like, why did you go on this show?
Yeah,
And
I saw the news also. Like all the 30 guests were, they had filed an FIR on all 30 people.
yeah, exactly. So it just like really blew out of proportion, right?
Right.
The video by Mohak, like Soch by Mohak Pangal, that was really interesting because it basically boils down to him being like the poster child of the country,
Right.
and you getting a reason to um, get a little bit of like publicity off of him, right?
Hmm.
That's literally what it is.
Hmm.
Now, all of the like, it's very subjective. Ki, like, did you like the joke? Did you not like the joke?
Right.
Everything else.
Right.
But at the end of the day, because he is so big and because he is known by so many people,
Mm-hmm.
everyone is just like biting into him just to get a little bit of more attention and just to be a little bit more relevant off of him, right? Off of this entire controversy. And
Yeah.
we've seen this happen time and time again.
Right.
Because this is not something that you should really like lose a night's sleep over. Like,
Yeah.
sure, culture and what are that, and he shouldn't have said it given the platform that he has, but
Right.
not to this extent. Like, this is
Right.
really, uncalled for, I would say.
Yeah. So, okay, we talked about the emotional involvement in all this. Like people are more emotionally involved in terms of who he is and how he represents us as a bunch of people, and that's why we have more emotional involvement in that. Hence, like we are like hell bent on getting him cancelled right now. This word cancelled also has become too lenient nowadays, but whatever. We want to get him cancelled. But what is the exact legal implication in all this, right? I mean, how until what extent is this legally right?
So the Constitution of India has this article on freedom of expression, right?
Right.
It's Article 19A. And what is happening is, at some point after independence, there was a clause that was added to it that said that in a very open-ended way, things that offend people cannot be are not part of freedom of expression, right? Or like things that offend the government or the country are not part of freedom of expression, right?
Right.
And this was there for a reason given like the political scenario back then. But the idea is that because it is so open ended, it can be interpreted in any various different ways, right?
Right.
And Soj had like this beautiful part in his video where
Mhm.
he explained this step by step, right? That this is what it says. Like, highly recommend. We'll plug it somewhere, maybe in the description. That it explained exactly how, why it is such a bad thing, right?
Right.
Especially for creators or
Right.
especially for people who are making media, that anything that is, let's say, for whatever reason, like the government does not agree with it, they could on paper say that it's illegal, right? Which is what is happening. We're seeing that
Interesting.
with Ranveer, that they can just like
Right.
literally go and book you on, say, hey, like what you're saying is not legal, right? Which
Right.
is like the scary part.
Yeah.
But the irony of things is that the very same people that did this exact thing
Right.
a couple of years ago are now blaming Ranveer of, offending people, of, let's say, doing something that he shouldn't have done, right? For example, Arnab Goswami, he
Right.
was arrested on this exact thing of, like abusing freedom of expression, or
Right.
like there was some huge case that happened, and he was arrested. He said something on his show that he shouldn't have,
Yeah.
and the Chief Justice of India actually defended him, saying that I don't follow him, but
Right.
if we stop people from saying what they want to say, then that is hampering their liberty, right? And now he himself is doing the same thing to Ranveer. Like, he is blaming Ranveer and saying that, he should be arrested and his platform should be stopped. Dude, there are like, it's insane, man. There are yogi babas that are asking for his like death, just straight up. They're like, you should kill him. And it just like, it is bizarre that more people are not coming and openly defending him,
Right.
which I guess it is understandable because, I mean, if someone of his level could be, targeted this way,
Hmm.
then any one of us could also be on the chopping block,
Yep.
right? And the worst part is that, like, yeah, dude, just it just insane. And
And
as we also wanted to talk about like the comedy part of things, right? Like
yeah,
what made the show successful and how can, create comedy creators do something similar.
yeah,
And as I was doing research onto other shows, like we talked about, there's Andha Pyar and there's that
yeah,
confession box and even relationship advice for that matter. All three of these and other, shows and comedians have just like normal comic material
yeah,
that follows the same sort of principle,
yep,
right? Like if you can't make fun of, let's say, whatever, a disability for example, right? Or if you can't make fun of religion, or if you can't make fun of anything that could remotely be offensive,
right.
then like basically half the comedians in India would not exist.
I have a question here. Okay, tell me about one topic that is not offensive. There is always one subgroup
Yeah,
that
that's an
offends
oxymoron. There is always something that is offensive
offends
to
people.
someone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's very hard to draw that line. Ki okay, this is offensive. This is not offensive.
correct,
Once you start uh, going down that road, I think it becomes very slippery. It's like
correct,
where do you stop?
100%.
Where do you stop? Offense.
Exactly.
Okay, boss. Okay, he made a very very bad joke. Reprimand, sorry. I think that is like okay. Maybe he can take a step back from whatever he's doing, say his podcast or something. Maybe things can change into something better. But yeah, to the extent it went, I was like, this is hard.
It's very weird, man. And the more I like researched about it, saw multiple people and their takes on it. There's a guy who was in the show,
Right,
and he was talking about the experience in the show, right? Like after Ranveer made the joke, like he repeatedly asked the person, like, "Are you okay? Is that fine? I
right,
meant it just in like a joke way. I didn't mean
right,
it. Like, are you okay?" And even the disability thing, like they
right,
asked them multiple times, like, "Is it okay that we make jokes on it?"
right,
And even the person said that, "Hey, like if I'm coming on the show, then the assumption is that this will happen,
right.
right? Like you can't come on the show and expect that."
Yeah,
And it's not a new thing. The show has been going on for like 15 episodes, right?
yeah,
So people who were going on, they knew what they were signing up for.
yeah.
That, bhai, like he is going to roast you. That's the whole concept. So I think it's a little, yeah, it's weird, man.
After this blew up, no, every time I say, I think twice. Like,
Dude, see, that is the problem. You
yeah,
see, like that is the problem. Like
yeah,
you can't be like that.
yeah.
Like the whole point of
She's
freedom
the
of
host.
expression is that you should be able to say what you want to say,
Correct. True.
right?
Yeah,
Uh,
100%.
but I'm forgetting her name, right? Like she's, I think,
Yeah, bro, I know her.
India's
I know
Got
her.
Talent ka host or whatever. But someone like some pap was interviewing her, right? Like they were asking you, "Oh, what is happening?" And she said, "You are the one that will go watch it. You are asking me that question,
Yeah,
and tonight you're going to go home and you are going to watch the show,
yeah,
right? So why are you asking me if he should make it or not,
yeah,
right?" Which made so much sense, dude. 40 million people are watching his show
yeah,
each episode. Are you really telling me that out of 40 million people, right? Where is this outrage coming from,
right.
right? Uh, but yeah, man, more than anything else, it's scary. Of course, it's scary, right? If
Yeah.
someone of his influence, his size and scale, um, can like this can happen to them, then yeah, man, like who are we? That's what you
Yeah.
think, right? Like who am I? If it can happen to someone like fucking 50 million followers, then like who am I?
Bharti Singh,
I'm a
bro.
nobody.
Founder name.
Bharti Singh, correct,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So yeah,
I
I
mean, it
think
gets very scary, bro. Like, it's just like you saying something inappropriate, and whatever follows, if that doesn't show up, that's it. That's where you call it a day.
correct.
And
And
probably,
dude, Samay went on Kaun Banega Crorepati. He went on KBC. That
yeah,
means like the KBC kind of show,
yeah.
like they vetted him. They said that, okay, like this humor is okay. Like we will put it on on national television,
And the
right?
and the timing, bro. Like the
Yeah, it just
controversy blew up, the episode released. I mean, like parallel.
Yeah, man, it's really unfortunate, and
Yeah,
I mean they're going to bounce back, right? Like if
yeah,
AIB can bounce back and Logan Paul can bounce, they are going to bounce back. But
yeah,
it definitely speaks volumes to um like what is possible,
Yeah.
right? And I don't think he ever anticipated that it would get to this level. I mean, a big takeaway for me has been that the like the creator economy giveth and it taketh, right?
Yeah.
So like it can give you in, chappad faad ke, and it can also take everything in one go.
Everything.
One of the reasons why I feel India's Got Latent is like the ultimate show, not a comedy show, not a
Right.
humor show, not
Right.
a reality, just a show,
Right.
is the number of influencers that he has created.
True.
So I'll give you a few names. Naman Arora, you
Yeah.
know that comic who has like this alter ego, the two blind guys who
Yeah.
Samay said that you will come open for me.
Yeah.
Then the girl from Bihar who grew up in West Bengal.
Huh.
Okay,
Yes.
the one with like the mole on her face.
Yeah.
Dude, the bodyguard. The bodyguard became a celebrity, bro. He
Yeah.
just recently came on like a an IPL ad. He went on those cars. He went on he's a character now, right? Like the original bodyguard,
Yeah.
right? So I think just the level of I mean it's as they say, right, that the goal should not be to become rich yourself,
Right.
but in business, how many people can you make rich?
Yep.
Right? Like how much money can you put into other people's pockets?
Yeah.
Like that is the true sign of
Great
wealth.
business. Yeah.
Yeah, like PayPal not just became a unicorn, but it created the PayPal mafia, right? So that's always the goal. So I think Samay and India's Got Latent was the PayPal mafia equivalent of like
Yeah.
comedy shows,
Yeah.
which
100%.
is,
Hands down.
I mean, hard luck, man, hard luck.
Yeah.
Fuck.
One like burning question in my head also. Like, see, uh, as far as dark humor goes, I wouldn't say this is the darkest of what I've seen. But how do you think they haven't gotten under fire and only these guys have? I have a couple of assumptions. One, I think it was on YouTube, one free platform, and too many people had access to it. That is one. And most of the things that I've seen the darkest shit in, it's mostly in say Netflix or Prime or something like that. It's always been under like a paid platform. Uh, and I think that, do you think that saves people's ass?
I feel like it was only because of Ranveer. It
Interesting.
was not because of Samay or the show itself. Like, had Ranveer not been there, right,
Yeah.
it would have been fine. And I'll tell you why. Like, so I'm forgetting one of the co-hosts of Untriggered. He had a very so like this guy really hates Ranveer for whatever reason, right?
Right.
He had this really nuanced take that Ranveer has always tried to create a personality to get people to like him.
Hmm.
As opposed to just being himself, he has always tried to lean into what will work, right?
Right.
And what people want to hear. So it could be with spirituality, with religion, with
Right.
he had like this whole dark arts wala phase, right? Agoris and
Right.
Bhoot Pret and all of this. And then he shifted to sports, then he shifted to celebrities, and
Right.
now he's like in entrepreneurship. So, and I agree with this that you do innately find it very fake,
Right.
right? You feel like he's not himself. Like he there's no way that he can talk to so many people and be happy all the time and like not disagree with any of them, right? If you look at, let's say, Joe Rogan, for example, he has he takes a stand. He
Yeah.
does not like certain things. He's very open about it.
Yeah.
He does not like certain people. Dude, he's had debates after
Yeah.
COVID
Yeah.
when all of these news channels were targeting him and all of this.
Yeah.
Ranveer doesn't do that.
Yeah.
I think at a very authenticity level, he tries to or he tried to be someone that he was not.
Yeah.
And you saw it even in that latent episode. It was so evident
Yeah.
that he was trying to be funny. He was trying to be very likable,
Right.
very like, um, teacher's pet,
Hmm.
right? He's perpetually in like this teacher's pet mode,
Hmm.
right? And people didn't like that.
Yeah.
And I think this was just an excuse for them to find that chink in his armor
Yeah.
and just
Beat the
destroy him.
shit out of that chink.
Exactly,
My
right? Like
God.
just yeah, like take full advantage of it, and then it just snowballed,
Yeah.
right? Because initially there was so much outrage by the normal people,
Right.
politicians, and everyone else who respond to this just took it up a notch,
Yeah.
right? For example, in movies, a lot of people say that like, sorry, in music,
Right.
like you need a song that works really well,
Hmm.
and then a studio can like light a fire under it,
Yeah.
right? But you can't have a song that is innately bad and then go to a studio and be like, bro, can you grow it? It doesn't work.
Yeah.
You need a song that's like viral at some level, and then the studio will like pump money, marketing into it and grow it, right?
Yeah.
So the same thing happened here. Like innately, people were genuinely outraged, and they were outraged at him in specific.
Yep.
Everything else was collateral damage.
Yeah.
All the other people, Samay, the show,
Yeah.
everything else, just like it was a stampede, and people just like walked all over everything.
Yeah.
But it was him that where it started. But yeah, dude, you got to be authentic. You got to be like true to yourself. And I
Yeah.
think this is like a turning point. He's definitely going to bounce back, and I hope that he's going to be better
Yeah.
because I mean he clearly makes amazing content.
Yeah.
But this is like something that he has to learn from.
Yeah. Like being in front of a lot of audience is always very tricky. I mean, kudos to him. He gets to, command that kind of audience. And I mean, whatever said and done, inauthentic, whatever. But whatever said and done, he's still able to pull those views and
Correct,
be hit those numbers that consistently. He knows his shit.
correct.
He knows.
And for that long,
Yes.
for 10 years, man, that is
Yeah.
just like that's mad respect. You've
Yeah.
been doing it for so long.
Yeah. That is uh, definitely where he stood out above everything else. But yeah, like hopefully he gets back on his feet. Hopefully this.
100% he will, man. I've seen this play out so many times. Like, so two lessons that I've always picked up is, I mean, I keep telling this, is
Yeah.
that if Logan Paul can come back from Suicide Forest,
Yeah.
anyone can come back from any controversy, any problem. It's just like, it's the law of the land, right? You just like wait it out. A couple of news cycles will
Yeah.
go over it. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
That's one. Second is that all publicity is good publicity. And if he
Interesting.
uses this well,
Interesting.
dude, just think about it. After the, I think maybe we talked about it in like the previous recording. Like we, for context, we tried to record this once before, but
Yeah.
um, the average views for Latent jumped from 25
Right.
to I think 35 or 40 million views after the controversy. Like this is in the last 7, 8 days,
But now it's not
right?
there anymore. No, they have removed all
Yeah,
those.
now he deleted all the videos.
Right.
But within, like, even then,
Yeah.
to the whole thing, like, the life of this has only been like a week,
Right.
right? And
Yeah.
within a week, like 10 million more people discovered that show. 10 million more people
Yeah.
saw Samay,
Hmm.
his comedy, his talent, all the other characters, all the other, judges, shows, everyone,
Yeah.
right? With it, like, that's just a couple of days,
Yeah.
right? That is insane. So, regardless of what happens, the next time somebody drops a special, the next time Ranveer drops a podcast,
Right.
more people are going to tune in
Yep.
simply because they're going to be like, dude, isn't this the guy that got banned? Isn't
Yeah.
this the guy that got FIR?
Yep.
That we're seeing his faces everywhere. So, it's like a self fulfilling, like, dude, it's just a beast that eats whatever is in its way,
Yeah.
right? Good or bad does not matter.
Yeah.
So, all of them are going to bounce back. This is going to blow over. Just like the AIB roast. Dude, look at Tanmay, man. Like
Yeah.
where he is now.
I
After the
mean,
roast, where he
yeah.
was
I
then.
mean, like kudos to him, bro. Like it's not easy, obviously,
100%. Yeah. It
to
takes a
be able
toll.
to find a new niche to do something
Exactly.
like that is not related to what you were doing. Very, very hard. And I've seen people like give up after like that. Things blow over also. It's not only
Correct.
thing bounce back.
They will, man. I'll tell you another insight that I have because I've seen a couple of these things, right? Like the
Right.
Sandeep Maheshwari and Prakhar was another one. Mad respect for Prakhar.
Yeah.
Not a great fan of his content per se.
Right.
Huge respect for how he turned things around. Dude, I saw him being stuck at like 200, 300K subscribers
Right.
for months. I think for like a whole year he was stuck there. And he was
Okay.
uploading regularly.
Right.
And dude, the minute he pivoted, right? Even after Sandeep, I think he was stuck at like a couple 100,000 for a bit. And the minute he pivoted to podcasts and long form, like really long form, dude, his channel is blown up. He's at like 1.5 million now, right? So he's really figured something out.
Yeah.
This only happens to people that have the capacity to deal with it,
Yeah.
right? So it's like that quote that life only throws shit at people who know how to like take it,
Yeah.
right? Like it won't throw a challenge at you when
I have a
you
very
don't
different
have
take on this. I have a very different take on this. I think, see, problems come at you always. It's just a matter of how prepared you are. It's an opportunity if you are prepared. It's a problem if you aren't. That's has been my general take on it. If you are prepared for something, then it's an opportunity. If you're not, it's a problem.
I mean, you can't prepare for these things, right? Like you can't
Correct,
prepare
exactly.
for the entire country,
Going with
landing
you,
on your head.
going behind you on with a pitchfork.
Yeah, exactly, dude. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, when
You
I
can't
think,
prepare for that.
yeah,
But like, I do believe that if anyone were to survive this,
yeah,
it would be Samay and Ranveer.
yeah,
Like, I truly believe that they have the capacity to like just figure it out. I don't know how they will do it. They
yeah,
will have to wait it out.
yeah,
Like, unfortunately, we will not be hearing from them anytime soon.
yeah,
But they will bounce back,
yeah,
and that's just how it works. Like,
yeah,
if you just last long enough, you will see these things,
yeah,
and then you just come back, and like people just forget because that's what people do. Okay, so one part of it is like this was like the recent events recap,
yeah,
right? Of like what happened and all of this. But
yeah,
the original idea for this episode was to talk about what it takes to make it as a comic with content,
yeah,
right? And I think now the land has changed quite considerably in the
yeah,
past week or so, right? At least for the near future. I don't know long term what it looks like,
yeah.
but what do you think a comedian that is starting out today, what does it take for them to be successful, especially when they are also making content?
There have been very limited avenues on how you can build an audience. So it has always been okay, can you write really well? Are you able to perform? And how much exposure are you able to generate out of it? If you think about it, all the stand-ups that have blown up has been somebody who was able to release an episode on YouTube, and like somehow in the frenzy of all this, it has been picked up. It's like there are times when you come across like really good stand-ups, but like you're like, "Hey, this guy doesn't even have any views." It doesn't take like that one man's thing for them to grow. It has always been the algorithm change or like something somewhere working, that luck factor just added into the whole mix. But I think formats like this provide like a really good opportunity to somebody who's starting off, right? Or like somebody who's trying to grow audience as such, right? I mean, I don't think it'll help somebody who's trying to become a comedian in the first place. If you are a comic, if you have been performing consistently, and somebody who's thinking on growing audience, this really helps because one, this appeals to a more general audience who aren't used to stand up, because stand up very new concept as a whole. Like if you think about the population of the overall people watching anything online, very niche audience know what is stand up, nicher audience know what, who are like the big folks that are performing and have generated a taste and all that, right? A show gives most people context as to what they are watching. With like, I show stand up to my mom or like my aunt, they won't understand it no matter what. They like, "Yeah, like what is he telling?"
Yeah, I feel like
Like,
I
I
disagree with you, but I agree with you. So let me
okay,
explain. So I agree with the fact that today YouTube may be a little difficult for people to stand out in. I still feel there aren't enough like high quality comics. I disagree that the format is the only way to stand out, right? Or a show.
okay,
I'll tell you why.
mhm,
So Andrew Schultz has a brilliant episode with Colin Smith. Okay,
okay,
and he talks about how like previously like making it as a comedian
right,
was about opening for other people, and this still happens, right? Let's say I went to like
yeah,
a Kenny show recently,
interesting, right,
and you have to open for them,
okay,
and that is like a guaranteed distribution, right? If you do
right,
really well there,
yeah,
then the idea is that people would come to then watch you, right? Oh,
right,
he opened for that person, so I'm going to go watch them. Or you go to like these open mics and you just like garner a following over time and over
right,
like geographies,
yeah,
right? That's how it used to work.
yeah,
But now anyone can just like upload a video
yeah,
of like a couple of jokes,
yeah,
be really funny,
yeah,
and then go and do a special, right?
mhm,
Because for comedians, as far as I know, it's the tickets where they make the most money, right?
yeah,
And there's also a really nice episode with Raj Shamani with Akash Mehta, if I'm not wrong.
Right.
where he breaks down how he earns his money, right? And
Right.
most of them are with tickets, right? He goes and let's say he sells out a theater or he sells out a stadium or whatever. That's where he makes the big bucks.
Right.
So, um, YouTube is by far, I would argue that the easiest way because all you need is like a really good, I mean, thumbnail really doesn't matter. You need a good title,
Right.
and if your video goes viral, everyone knows about you. Like, so there are these people who are known for that one joke. So
Yes.
in the US, there's this guy called Bert Kreischer. He's like in the Joe Rogan circle. He has this Russian mob story. Okay,
Ah, yes.
extremely hilarious. You would have seen it.
Yeah.
Mega viral video. It's
Yeah.
him shirtless telling the story. Dude,
Yeah.
it's now been converted to a movie. Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
Like Paramount is producing the movie. It is insane.
Right.
Like that one joke has been so popular, right?
Right.
So I would argue that the right YouTube video is one, it's evergreen and it can get you a lot of attention. The problem is that YouTube videos do not sell tickets.
Yep.
They get you attention and awareness, and people know your name. They don't sell tickets.
Yep.
And multiple comedians have talked about it. Like there was that show, right? I actually didn't follow it. It was a thing that Samir Rana almost won, or
Comic Star.
comedian something. Comic Star, correct? Now, Comic Star, it had like a couple of winners, right?
Right.
But I haven't even heard of those winners. There's that guy that made the roast.
Something Solanki. I forgot.
Yes, Ashish Solanki. If I'm not wrong, he won Comic Star, right?
Oh,
Dude,
nice.
I didn't know about him until like 6 months ago when he did that roast. And it was like
Ah,
a huge deal,
right.
right? So he won an entire show that was on Prime, guaranteed distribution. Still, people don't know about it, right?
I mean, you
So
did
to
know.
answer the question
That's
of like what does it take? It's actually I would argue it's not YouTube videos, it's not your show. Both of those things can help. They don't help you grow a business. Honestly, I don't know the answer to that question of like what is it that you need, but
yeah.
you need to get people to love you. Like Tanmay, people love Tanmay.
Yeah.
Samay, people love Samay. I personally love Ronak Rajani,
Hmm.
right?
Okay.
So, like, I would pay for Ronak Rajani if he was coming to Bangalore. I would pay for maybe not Tanmay, but I would pay to watch Samay. I would pay to watch
Right.
Ronak and things like this.
Yeah.
So, um, I think like that is a $1 million question, right? Of like, how do you get people to truly like you? That's how you build a brand. That's how you build
Yeah.
a like a hardcore fan following. But that's what I would say is that all of these formats are just the delivery mechanism.
Okay.
What you need to do is be really good at one, your art. Like Samay is a fucking talented comic man. Like you
Right.
cannot deny that. There are 6 people on the panel.
Yeah.
Samay is still killing it.
Yeah.
He is the one that's the star of the show.
Yeah.
It's not the other 6 people. It's not the contestants. It's not someone
Right.
in the crowd. It
Yeah.
is Samay.
Yeah.
We came for Samay,
Yeah.
right? Um, and it's just that, right? You have to be really good at what you do. Like that plus character or flavor is the winning combo.
Yeah.
Now, of course, you can package that in like a bunch of different ways, but at the core of it, like you're performing, you have to be good at performing. There's a
Yeah.
reason why people still like Logan Paul because he performs, man. Like I am entertained,
Yeah.
right? Like
So,
I may not like him,
yeah.
but I am still entertained. So like if you're really good at what you do, people will look forward to it.
Yeah.
Like AIB was really good at what they did.
Yep.
Regardless of what you think about them, Ranveer is really good at like
Yeah.
he is able to get, if nothing else, guests that have not come on any other podcast.
Yeah.
Just that by itself, giving access to like a certain person to like millions of people, that is valuable, man. That is
Yep.
incredibly valuable.
Yeah.
So if you're able to do that, you will have space, especially in this like, new age AI led world. I
Yeah.
feel like another thing that's really working right now is like this concept of a series,
Yeah.
right? And it's working both on short and long form. I feel like having a series of any kind, right? Let's say, like, day in the life of whatever, like a
Right.
lawyer who does
Right. Right.
bodybuilding,
Yeah.
or 30 days, 30 AI tools challenge,
Right.
or, making a video every day until I reach a certain amount of revenue. But that would be a really cool way to package your comedy content of if you can go in and, create like a series of some sort, like Latent. It doesn't have to be
Right.
high production.
Right.
It could be simply like jokes while running,
Right.
right? Where you're just like running with someone, and the idea is that you're making jokes on everything that you can see around you.
Yeah.
right? Or it could be that you're both driving and the whole point is to make the other person laugh,
Right.
right? Or it could be like something with stakes,
Right.
which is inherent to all content,
Yeah.
but it's just like something that's trending right now and that's working. I feel like that would really work for a comedian today.
Interesting.
But yeah, dude, is that it? Is that the pod? Do we have anything else?
Uh, yeah, I think that's the pod. Closing credits. Thank you so much for watching until now, and see you guys in the next one.
Yes.